I'm Erin Cortus, Associate Professor and Extension Engineer at the University of Minnesota.
I'm Abby Schuft, Extension Educator for Poultry and Biosecurity at the University of Minnesota Extension.
Together over the last several years, we've been working together on different projects related to biosecurity. And Abby has been spending a lot of time working with our local poultry farmers on this topic. So, Abby, what do you feel is an often overlooked element in the planning process for biosecurity?
In the planning process, I think everybody wants to do an exemplary job, but they're not always thinking about what's practical for themselves or their employees to actually implement. We've talked about desire paths before. And so what makes sense logically or what makes sense to optimize biosecurity isn't always practical and applicable by the employees that actually.
So, what's an example of a desire path?
For example, we have this really great green fence on campus, and there's sidewalks on the perimeter. But in the wintertime, when there's snow, for example, here in Minnesota, you might see paths that go across the mall area because it's a shorter distance for somebody to take rather than to take the perimeter sidewalk. So that would be their desire path. That's their desire to take a quicker route somewhere to get to the destinations that they want to get to. So that would be a desire path that they've created their own path to get to the end result.
How can we find these desire paths on a farm?
Communication. And that's a really big word. I know we've talked about it numerous times of what truly is communication. When developing a biosecurity plan, you want to be able to have conversations and dialogue with people who are actually doing the work in the barn and get their input because maybe they have a more efficient way of doing something that will still accomplish that biosecure protocol, but it's more efficient that you might not know about, but they do.
Abby, what makes you passionate? Job, what gives you that passion? Going when you're talking about a difficult subject.
It is a truly difficult subject. Nobody really wants to talk about emergencies or devastation or a disease outbreak that could ultimately ruin their business. But what fuels me to continue and to keep reaching producers is the matter of having a biosecurity plan in place, communicating that with employees, family members, their service providers, so that in the event there is an emergency of some sort, that there's guidance to help pave the path of how they will navigate. They're obviously going to have to deviate from things because circumstances just come from all directions. But having that guidance in a plan, then they at least know they have a starting point to work from.
So Abby, you started in your position in 2016 as a result of the 2014 high pathogen influenza outbreak. And since then, unfortunately, we've gone through another outbreak, 2021, in 2022. How did that experience shape what you did this last time around, or how that guide helped you guide producers?
Well, essentially, we spent 5 years preparing, revisiting lessons that were learned in the 2014-2015 outbreak. Our lack of biosecurity. We know 85% of the cases in 2014 and 15 were caused by lateral transmission. So there's farm to farm spread. So that's what my job was to provide outreach and education to our producers, help create those biosecurity plans, help with training for producers. And we have learned in the 2022 outbreak that those efforts were actually very successful. There's very minimal farm to farm spread. But unfortunately, there were different outside circumstances that caused that spread of avian influenza most recently. But there's such an awareness now of biosecurity. And now we're even going next level to what other outside factors could be mitigated by people. And what is the next level of biosecurity to control wild bird movement.